All hustle. Yeah.
All hustle is all hustle.
Absol.
All hustle is all hustle.
All hustle is all hustle.
Welcome back to the Hip Hop Report. This is Rambo Hustle, and today we'll be discussing T.I.'s new album, Kill the King. Well, hypothetically, his last album also. Now, I'm super excited for this album because I've been a huge fan of T.I. basically the entire time that he's been out, and really felt like he really took the concept of a Southern rapper to the next level, where Lil Wayne really established what a Southern rapper could be lyrically. T.I. took that to the next phase of what that brand and what that sound looks like, bringing in a more aggressive, a more lyrical, and honestly, a more diverse delivery and way more flows than we had heard. Where Lil Wayne's flow, I think, basically because of the age that he got on at, became kind of repetitive and became very consistent, even though super dynamic and prolific. T.I. really came in with a lot of different styles, a lot of different sounds, and as he claims to be the king of trap, he definitely brought the trap sound to the forefront of commercial hip hop and the commercial sound of charting trap music. Now, with that being said, Kill the King does everything that you would expect a retirement album to do. It doesn't overstay its welcome, going 25, 30 tracks or nothing crazy like that, and also gives you a diverse sound with diverse features that allow you to see everything that T.I.'s career has been created from, both from features, as you see 2 Chainz, Jeezy, as well as R&B side, where we see Summer Walker, Usher, and even Anderson .Paak making an appearance on this album. There's tons of records on here that I think have tons of commercial and radio friendly success if they're pushed in that direction. But as far as a hip hop listener that truly enjoys and appreciates the sound of hip hop, I think T.I. delivers in a very major way. If you guys saw the Company Man and Stat Quo's live review on the Third Verse podcast last night, when the album dropped, they said that there was no skips. And honestly, I agree. I don't think there's any skips on this album. But what we will do is the records we selected, which is about 10 out of 18 records, are the ones that I felt really stand out and have the potential to have commercial success or just incredibly, ear catching records that really showcase the dynamics of his lyrical ability. And we see that from the intro when he comes in, which honestly, this is really cool because it was produced by not just The Dream, which I know a lot of the younger generation may not be familiar with, but The Dream in his prime and even his pen game is maybe one of the most elite songwriters and producers of all time. I think he just probably just too much of an introvert to really maximize his tenure in the spotlight. Although he is working on a new album, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But on top of that, we also get, soon after that intro, we get Let Him Know, which is the Pharrell produced single that took off earlier this year and really gave him the momentum to not just go not head to head, but have his riff with 50, but stand on on his toes in that beef. And I think this album really justifies and validates what we were telling a lot of the 50 Glazers about how good T.I. actually is. And it's great to see him collaborate with people like NBA Youngboy because he has such a huge fan base in an entirely different generation. And for them to hear him do that record, which by the way was a ode to Shorty Wanna Be a Thug by Tupac, which I think is personally, I think this is one of my favorite productions on the album. I think it really shines through as one of the strongest records, and I think it's kind of serendipitous to have the concept of Shorty Wanna Be a Thug and tie it to NBA Youngboy, who's, to say the least, has had a very tumultuous career and has definitely had his run-ins with not just the law, but just like bad media and just really trying to maintain his composure during the rise of his name and his brand and his obviously what I consider superstardom. Now, a lot of people say that he's bigger than this artist or that artist because of his numbers, but honestly, I think NBA YoungBoy really shines because if you listen to his music and you listen to what he talks about and the topics that he tackles, he makes very deep music. I mean, he makes incredibly deep and substantial music that sometimes makes it even hard to listen to because he's one of those artists that, he's not as laid back as Kodak Black is. He's a lot more aggressive on track and on record and audio, but at the same time, you can hear the passion in his voice, and you can tell that he puts everything he has into his music.
Subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. If you want the latest and greatest, do it for the game. Music breaks. These are the breaks. Music breaks.
Now, on top of that, we get Dope Boys Academy with T-Pain, Jeezy, and 2 Chainz. I mean, talk about an all-star cast of trap rappers and people that really put on Atlanta. And of course, in that same generation, one of the biggest hit makers of that generation in T-Pain. I mean, the only thing missing from this record was Gucci Mane, which honestly, for reasons that you either know or you don't know, we were probably never going to get. And maybe OJ the Juice Man. You know, I mean, this could have definitely been one of those 6-7 minute, trap star records. But at the end of the day, we do get what we would hope to see, and that's T.I. teaming up with some of the biggest trap stars in the music industry from Atlanta, the ones that really put trap music on the map on a grand scale. Well, at least the ones that we can expect him to collaborate with. Now, on the R&B side, we get an amazing feature with Summer Walker on And Won't, which I believe samples, I don't know if it samples Keith Sweat's Twisted or it samples what Keith Sweat's Twisted sampled, but I hear that record, and if you listen to that and go back and listen to Twisted, you'll hear it, and I think Summer Walker truly shines on this record. To me, this is definitely one of the top radio spinner records that we can get. If this really goes to radio, this will be a summer smash, pretty much guaranteed. In addition to the softer and more laid back Gorgeous with Usher, where Usher really takes the and delivers an amazing hook and chorus, and T.I. does what he does best, and that's basically give us amazing verses that complement the singer and the hook, and elevate the entire record to be what a hit record is supposed to be. You know, what we came to know in the 90s and in the 2000s as rap and B. And I think this is one of the best examples of that on this album. Now, of course, Mr. Him and Let Him Know, both produced by Pharrell, which showcases his elite level of production on any generation, in any genre, in any artist catalog. Just really showcases his ability to produce and elevate artists to their best potential sound, the ability to get the most out of artists in the studio and really deliver hit record year after year after year. Now, even though Mr. Him is more laid back and just like kind of a diverse, it's not like what you would consider a radio record. I think it lives up to that because the vibe on that record is just exquisite. While Pistol on the Dance Floor showcases T.I.'s ability to handle the hook and the verses and still give you a catchy record that you can move to. I personally, even though there was a lot of criticism online the day this came out about, oh, how old are you still talking about street stuff? I mean, look, we get Jeezy, 2 Chainz, and T.I. on the record. It's not crazy to think that they're going to talk about trap something. But Pistol on the Dance Floor, I think, has hella bounce. And to me, it's one of those records that I can listen to in the car. I want to listen to in the club. I want to listen to that on vacation. And I think I love this record because I love when an artist takes on a record all together by himself and doesn't depend on features to really manifest what he wants to do on that record. While records like Rant and Ego really showcase T.I.'s ability to deliver bars and still rap at a very elite level. So, anybody talking about the OGs need to call it quits and retire, you should retire. Or maybe get in the game at some point and stop yelling from the bleachers. In addition to that, we get Trauma Bond, which I thought was an amazing record. I was hoping to hear Damani on this record somewhere else besides what we had already heard. But on this record, we got the whole Harris family really showcasing their chops as far as creating a record together. And how cool would it be for them to do an entire album where we get T.I. and we get King and we get Damani and we get Tiny and we get all of them, showcasing their skill sets across the board, and Major, you know what I mean? So I think the Harris family can totally do a Harris EP type of project, and I would love to hear that personally. And then towards the end, we get Big Dog, which honestly, a lot of these records, Big Dog and Continental, seem like they don't even belong this late on the project. And I think those are the things that make albums classic. When you're on track 3 and 4 and you still, these all sound like intro records, and then you get to track 17 and track 18, and these are still sounding like records that could have started the project altogether. I think you really know you have yourself an amazing project. And I think T.I. has delivered at such an elite level. This may be, honestly, this year has been incredible with albums, and it's going to be really hard to choose what the album is of the year. And no, we don't count it by numbers. We count it by quality, message, and impact. And I think T.I., especially if this is his last album, which I doubt, definitely has made a great case for himself to have not just one of the best records of the year, but more importantly, one of the best albums of the year. And I think this one, if supported and pushed out correctly, will have at least 2 or 3 more singles that will last the test of time, hit radio, and be on everybody's playlist. With that being said, Rambo Hustle with the Hip Hop Report. Kill the King.